We featured a lot of earbuds on the channel so far this year, including the best earbuds under $100 last week, but I know lots of you don't like that in-ear design, so today's video is something a little different that I think you'll find interesting. This is the Otocarti Lite, a project launched on Indiegogo to introduce the first ever Cartilage Conduction Earphones, a concept that aims to combine the best aspects of bone conduction with that of conventional earphones. For full disclosure, these were sent over to me for an honest review, and I certainly found them interesting enough to want to share with you my thoughts. I'm going to show you everything these can do, all the pros and cons, and my overall impression of this unique concept for wireless audio. So on the surface, these appear to simply be a pair of neckband-styled wireless earphones. We have a rubberized band attached to two plastic ends, one of which houses the volume and multifunction buttons, along with the USB-C recharging port. From each of these extends the earphones, except there's no speaker grill, so these are clearly not just your typical wireless earphones. Like bone conduction earphones, these small spheres will actually vibrate to create sound, but rather than pressing against your temples, these sit in your ears like regular earbuds, but don't penetrate into the ear canal. Instead, the vibrations transmit to the ear cartilage, and your eardrum picks up the vibrations in the air that this produces. In this way, your ears are still kept open to your surroundings for spatial awareness and improves comfort. There's nothing plugging your ears, but you get a superior sound quality experience to that of typical bone conduction devices. Initially, I do really like this concept. The build quality is admittedly not super high with these, the plastic feels a bit cheap, as do the button controls. However, they're also extremely light. The neckband takes the bulk of the weight, and the spheres are so light and seamless in your ears that you quickly forget you're even wearing them. Even with these wingtips, which I found are necessary to keep these securely in your ears, the experience is very light and comfortable, and is made even more seamless with how completely clearly you can still hear your surroundings. As good as the transparency mode is on some earbuds, it's no substitute for having nothing plugging your ears and being able to naturally hear the world around you. I literally wore these for an entire day and my ears didn't tire, and I find the neckband light enough that it didn't bother me either. So I can definitely see the benefit over both earbuds and bone conduction systems that clamp around your temples. The fact that there's nothing going into the ear canal itself will also improve hygiene and reduce the risk of ear infections. You can easily clean the spheres and the wingtips are removable. You get a selection of sizes in the box, and they actually keep the spheres securely in place even when running. That spatial awareness factor could be important for those running outdoors where safety is a priority, and there's just enough weight in the neckband to stop these bouncing around too much when you're exercising. If you've used bone conduction earphones before, you'll know the effect this has on the sound quality. Your music becomes dampened, muffled, and loses detail. But the design of the Otocarti Lite allows the sound to pass through the air before reaching your eardrums, just like regular earbuds and earphones, and as a result you get significantly improved quality. Obviously, without a large driver physically pushing the air, you're not going to get the same sort of experience, in particular with the bass response. But the sound here is surprisingly clear and crisp, and again, because of the open nature of the fit, the experience is really pleasant. Mids and highs sound natural, realistic, and well-defined, and you still get just enough bass that your music doesn't feel hollow or empty. However, it certainly isn't able to thump with any immersive deep sub-bass, and if you're expecting this going into it, then you will be disappointed. It's just a limitation of this type of audio transmission. So there are certain genres, generally those that aren't bass-driven, that these earphones suit better, and beyond music, these work great with things like podcasts and audiobooks. You also won't be able to listen at super loud volumes. In fact, I can max these out and still listen fairly comfortably. So the max volume is a little bit low for my liking, and in especially noisy environments, you may find that your music is drowned out. So that's one thing to consider, though I do appreciate that these are designed specifically with spatial awareness in mind, and not as an immersive, isolated experience. If you do crank up the volume though, then you'll also be increasing the vibration intensity, which you're going to feel. At higher volumes, you can clearly feel the kick of a bass or snare drum, for example, and it's a very unusual sensation, certainly to begin with. It can create this light sort of tickling in your ears that can range from mildly pleasant to uncomfortable, depending on your sensitivity to this. It's really going to depend on each person, the volume level, and the type of content you're listening to as to how you'll find this. With my regular playlists and typical 80% playback volume, I can certainly feel those vibrations in my ears, but I do feel like I've become used to it now and don't mind it. With more relaxed listening, the vibrations are very low and I don't notice them at all. However, I'm certain that some people will find this in-ear sensation to be a deal breaker and simply won't get on with these at all, so I wanted to clearly point this part out. Just to run through some general specs then, it's mostly what you'd expect. I think the connectivity specs are largely irrelevant here with this type of product, and the main thing to say is that I've had no issues with connection stability or latency with videos. There are no fancy bells and whistles here like multipoint, fast pairing, or even a companion app, so what you get out of the box is going to be your experience going forward as well. You can't therefore customize the controls, so you will have to adjust to the slightly unusual control layout. It's good to see an IPX5 protection rating though, so you won't have to worry about using these out in the rain. One spec did stand out to me though, and that's the battery life. You get a massive 24-hour playback time on a single charge, so I guess that's another cool benefit of cartilage conduction. I've personally had these running for 20 hours myself just to confirm this, so I thought that was impressive, and you can easily recharge via USB-C.
Okay, so I'm filming now through the Otocarti Lite. These do have a built-in microphone, which means you can use these for phone calls. And actually the call quality was surprisingly good. They don't really isolate your voice, so things like background noise, like passing traffic, will filter in, but in general my voice was still kept quite clear. So I think in most situations these will be a good option for phone calls.
As an Indiegogo item, there are various prices attached to these for purchase, so it's hard to give a conclusive opinion on the value of this product. In that way, this is more of a product showcase than a review, but there are certainly not many products out there quite like this. I definitely think there's a gap in the market for these, and for those who don't get on with earbuds or bone conduction headphones, the Otocarti Lite might just hit the sweet spot. So hopefully, like me, you've still found it interesting seeing this unique new product, and I'd love to hear from you in the comments, is this something you'd want to buy? If you enjoyed this video, then please give it a like, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when new videos go live, and thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all in the next one.